Alright, what's up, Squid Bois? Today I'm killing Hank. How am I killing Hank? Well, I'm at war with Spain here. I know his army's right here with a bunch of artillery. I'm going to just go in. Now that we got the how out of the way, what's the why? The why I'll explain with my review of Hank at the end of this video. Remember, there's going to be chapters. This is a review of heroes, just the initial review after release. And part 1 will be the general review. Part 2 will be talking about Hank. Now, what's up with Heroes? They've been updating for several months now. I did an initial update when it came out, when Bytro asked me to be a beta tester, and my overall thoughts on it are somewhat positive. Now, I think that this is a much better step than Stormtroopers and Zeppelins, because these were complete failures. I know we're not allowed to talk about them, or how they were temporary, even though they weren't temporary, they just failed. But this can be a better middle ground to fancy units that you have to pay to get them. This could be better, but let's get into it. So what is Heroes? A hero is a unit who can't be in an army with other heroes, and he gives boosts and units to the field when you deploy them. There's a day marking on the hero when they can be deployed. There's the rankings. There's the units that they summon. Hank on level 1 summons 3. And there's the boosts that the hero gives to that specific army when they're in that army with Hank. It has stats. It has a storyline. We need to discuss how you acquire them. Well, everyone should be getting Hank in the beginning. I've been collecting the Cavalry Master here. You can see there's a 10 out of 100. When I get 90 more, I'll start getting the Horse Leader. There's only been 2 ways that I've found out how to do it for free. The third, of course, is the shop. Now, the shop, as a positive, it's quite expensive to buy these. And I think that's a bonus. Like, if you look at these prices, that's kind of a lot. I've seen on the mobile like $60 to buy. I'm not pulling up the phone. I will in the future though. But I'm glad that the price of these is quite expensive, because this isn't a lot. So for example, if you spent $20, you would get the horse guy, because that's 100 points, right? And then a 50 point. You would only get half of Lawrence of Arabia. So this is a great thing. Level 1. So you don't even get to level 1 with Lawrence, but you get a level 1 Albany. There on the mobile app, you got your little phone. It has all the little icons. It says gift. There's just a little present right here. You click that button, you can get a daily gift. It'll give you 5 free points. Now, I don't get paid to say that. That's why I'm drawing it here. You can go figure it out for yourself. The second way is operations. I do not care about operations at all. I don't need constant reminders to expand. Like, I'm just going to play the game anyways. I play on hard mode, so I don't use booster cards. This is nice that there's a way of slowly gathering the heroes up. And that's all I know, how to collect heroes. If you know more or if things change, please add it to the comments. I will read it. Now I want to go over the available heroes just to give you an idea of how I would use them. So first of all, remember, they can't be in the same army with each other. I attack with Army Group A and Army Group B. You could see here I have 2 groups taking down this fort. That's nice. I haven't lost anyone. You need to be designing your armies a little bit different to utilize the heroes correctly, because you can't just throw them all together and do one giant army with them, because you're not utilizing them right, which I think that's a positive. It makes people not just consolidate one giant army all the time. This is what I would do initially. When I slowly acquire each hero, I'll make a video about it after I had experience with it. We'll go left to right, skip Hank, do Hank at the end. Albany. Albany appears on day 2, so he's an early game hero. Albany gives out units. Albany boosts your speed of the armies in and the attack of cavalry. This is a powerful unit. I use cavalry all the time. A 10 to 20% increase is quite large. So 1.5 to 3 damage increase for each cavalry unit. And that's just a nice boost. If you watch my campaign videos, you'll see the deciding blow is me charging in with my cavalry. Of course, later on, it's going to be tanks. That's probably why they don't have a tank person out yet. But this is good. Albany has the stats of cavalry. A little bit stronger, a little bit more health. I would use Albany as in my Army Group A. He would be in my main army. I would focus more cavalry to him. And overall, I think once I get Albany, I'll be using him a lot more. All right, now we're on to Mueller. Mueller's day 10. Mueller's artillery. And it's the same thing as Albany. He's an artillery piece, makes artillery go faster. He'll have an artillery unit that accompanies him, and it does artillery type damage. Now, they're all different level stars, just like with Albany and Hank. So it will take time to grow into this character. Mueller is the forever general in the army. You will have a dedicated artillery group behind, and he will have the artillery, he'll have infantry, he'll have balloons supporting him against airplane bomber fire, him just increasing damage, making the artillery move a little quicker, and giving out an artillery is extremely useful. All right, we have Orhan now. Orhan is armored cars. Now, you know how I feel about armored cars. Orhan is quite nice. Orhan's day one. Orhan increases the defensive damage of armored cars and brings out an armored car. Orhan has quite a lot of health and is just like a beefier armored car. I think that's fine. I think this is great. I don't need every hero to be obnoxiously strong. And this is quite basic. And I think if I had Orhan, he would be my armored car, and the armored car that came with him would be my armored car, and I probably wouldn't be building armored cars anymore. Now, I do things differently than others. I think a lot of people are going to love Orhan. Orhan, for me, is a defensive general. If I did have armored cars and I was being attacked, they're hitting my front lines where I'm open, Orhan and his speed would be there to get to that spot to help defend it. That's the way I would use Orhan. I would also just use him in a B attacking army, because I like to have one armored car with each unit. He would just be my armored car in the army that's not my main army. All right, now we're on Lawrence of Squid Arabia. Lawrence is day 3. Lawrence is a little unique. He'll give you a lot of infantry. He boosts his own attack, which is quite odd, and then he'll boost the army's movement speed. Now, Lawrence's attack, he's a cavalry, is, a slightly stronger cavalry unit. The health points are great. And Lawrence, the way I would use him is how he is in real life and in the movie you should watch called Lawrence of Arabia. And he's going to go in deep into enemy lines when you see an opening. And him and his boys are going to move a little bit extra fast. And they're going to go in and start wreaking havoc in the open territories, out in the hinterlands, out where due to your opponent's lack of forts, he's wide open. And I like that. I think this is a unique hero. This was a unique idea. We're going on to Hank. Now, Hank is the perfect day one hero, the first hero everyone should be getting, because Hank is your absolute number one, day one, starting the game hero. I promise you, in the months to come, the years that follow, if Hank is still around, this is what you're going to do with Hank. This is a prediction, and Squid is going to call it right here. Before he's even done it, he's calling it. So, day one, Hank. Hank is bringing out infantry, and he's bringing out offensive and defensive damage to infantry. Now, the defensive damage to infantry is really great. Offensive damage is great in the early game, and bringing out a couple infantry in the beginning is going to help you take out early game opponents, take out early game AIs. Now, why do I want Hank to die? Let's look at Hank's stats. Here we can see the stats of Hank. You can see he's just a little infantry, a little bit bigger, twice as much health, a little bit more damage, nothing to cry about. And his daily cost is 300, the upkeep. Now let's look at the daily cost of a normal infantry, 25. 300 divided by 25 is 12. Hank costs, they're shooting at me, 12 times as much upkeep as an infantry. Now this can be relatively small, but this is day 31. Now I got Hank a few days ago because the update, all I did was summon him with his 3 infantry, but he doesn't have the boost. All he did is come in and give me 3 infantry. I thank Hank for that, but I don't need him anymore. He has the upkeep of 12 infantry. That's just so wasteful. Now, if you look at the other generals real quick, you notice I skipped their upkeep. That's a lot too. 600 for Albany, 800 for Mueller, 600 for Orhan. We'll just say 700 for Lawrence. But with Hank as a level 1 hero, all he provided for me is 3 infantry, and he could be the 4th. He's done being useful as a level 1 hero. When Hank does progress through the levels, how would I use him? The infantry offense, like I mentioned before, is great in the early game, but defense is going to be universal. When you are getting attacked, Hank's going to be defending. You're going to use him to get to spots, get to forts, and hold that line and give you that extra defensive damage. Find this guy, and boom, this is how I thought Hank would be used. You can see Hank being deployed right now during my surprise attack. This is the second most common reason to be using Hank. His short deployment makes him really quick to respond to openings in your line, weak points. I was actually going to try to recreate this. I'm so glad someone else did this, because was my last prediction for Hank. Now, while we wait for Hank to die, I want to tell you what my strategy is. I want to tell you my concerns for the long run. So my strategy is to collect them naturally. You know, if I get in operations, that's great. As long as I'm collecting them as I play the game, I'm fine if it takes a really long time. What's my biggest concern? Well, I'm somewhat okay with the days they're coming out, and that's only because everyone else gets the same units. The problem with stormtroopers and zeppelins, at the end of the day, you need to pay to get them, and you have to keep getting them. But everyone could get these generals over time, and I understand people will expedite the purchases of them. I'm glad the purchases are quite expensive, stopping people from getting to level 5. But what happens 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now? You know, is everyone that's an experienced long player going to come out with level 5 star generals, and then they're going to go into a random game with a bunch of new players who just have Hank? That's going to look ugly, and that's going to be a problem that I have a solution for. Now, what's my solution? Well, here at the homepage, I've clicked create game. As a premium member, you get to make one custom map a month. I do this, I buy premium to make a custom map when I do a subscriber game, but I'm deeply unsatisfied with the selection, the customization. They need to either open it up for modding or get help. I've been talking to Vitro about this problem, but this can help. Now, the reason why it can help is higher level players, people who contribute through premium account, can change the minimum rank. We could start having higher level games where it's already figured out that a lot of us will have, you know, a couple level 2s or level 3s and stuff like that. So we're not just beating out new players. Also, new players can lower the rank. Now the ranks, they actually can. Okay, that's another thing they should change. I need to write that one down. We need to have a maximum rank because we need to start splitting people up based on their level. Now I know levels don't matter right now, but I promise you in a few years from now, when I'm playing a game and I'm looking at an opponent, here's Netherlands, and I'm analyzing his service record, the number one factor for me to know how many generals he'll have or heroes is going to be his rank, because he'll have played longer and longer in the game and he'll slowly accumulate stars, which is totally fine. Analyzing players based on their rank is going to change like never before. Normally I would just look at this PvP. I don't want to get into a tangent. I could actually start going down here and telling you way more about that, what to look for. But this is going to be a big factor, just what level they are. It's not going to matter now. It's not going to matter 3 months from now. But 6 months to a year, you should just assume a higher level ranked person has been playing the game longer and has accumulated more stars. And that's my biggest worry. You're going to have all your heroes and they're going to be maxed out, and you're going to make new players not feel welcomed enough, or they have to like somehow compete against this. How can you pretend I joined this game 3 years from now? I would be like, oh my gosh, there's like all these people with this and this coming out at me. How can I deal with that? Now they can also get it, so they need to have a space to do that. So if they can't update the customization maps, they need to at least create more maps for beginners and start dividing up by levels. Now, they can't do it now because levels don't matter to determine heroes, but it will in the future, and that's the best way to do it. Now, I'm glad that they changed the speed map. I don't play speed maps, but I'm glad they split that up for beginners and experienced players. I'm hoping that they have this in mind, and that's that. I'm fine with having a bunch of high-level heroes, but once I get to that point, I don't want to be facing lower-level people anymore. Hank is dead. Here we could see how long it takes for him to revive. I'm going to say that was about probably 36 hours. Now I've started a new map. I'm going to hit the deploy button, and since he mobilizes in 3 minutes, I could put him anywhere I wanted to at any time, but I'm going to put him here because that's the rally point. Now Hank leveled up since we talked last. He now gives me a 5% attack and defense buff to my infantry, which is great. This is it. This is how you use Hank. You could see my troops massing here and here. We're either going to destroy this guy or destroy this guy, because the rest of these people are AIs. And Hank is now my day one general, and he's going to be yours too. You need his infantry boosting. In the beginning, it's all infantry, and his little infantry that he provided help out. Now pretend I attack this guy to my south. I have a group, Army Group A and Army Group B, and we go down this way in a massive force. Hank's just adding a lot of flavor to my wars now. If I have a second general, he can be an A. But overall, this is how I'll use Hank, and I promise you this is how everyone is going to use Hank. I'll talk to you Squid Bois later. Also, as an American, I'm offended. I'm offended that Hank is just so weak. I know he's mimicking an infantry, but it is what it is. He does have my hair, though.